A very good morning and welcome to this particular segment, Take Note. And the Take Note subject today is International Day of Forests. Yes, you heard me right. The 21st of March is International Day for Forests, and the dedication is to ensure that aspects forest, food security, nutrition, and livelihood that we benefit as a result of these many trees being either in one compact area or landmass, or even as dotted as they can be across the country. The International Day of Forests is observed on the 21st of March, and this year's focus is forests and foods. That highlights the crucial role of forests in food security, nutrition, as well as livelihood. This morning we're joined by Stuart Maniraguha, the Acting Executive Director at the National Forestry Authority. Many thanks for making time, Mr. Maniraguha. Bring us up to speed rather on what exactly the day is, but most importantly, what is the state of affairs when it comes to forest cover in Uganda.
Thank you, Chris. And I would like to thank NTV for having me this morning.
You're most welcome.
It's a pleasure always to be here.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
We are honored.
So today, of course, is the International Day of Forests. This is an international event that is observed across the world. And Uganda being one of the key countries in this space of forestry, celebrates it along the whole world. Remember, we are the part of Africa, and that defines our space when we are talking about environment, forests, and conservation. So the state of affairs, of course, we are not good enough. We are not where we should be, but we are not dangerously bad off. So we at the National Forestry Authority keep encouraging Ugandans to indeed look at forests, trees as a stronger component of the food security, nutrition, and then livelihoods as the theme goes. Okay. So the forests, you know, at 12.7% across the whole landscape.
Uganda.
In Uganda.
Okay. And
our desire is, of course, to have it grow bigger to where it was at 24% or even beyond, because the importance of forests is becoming much more, you know, critical than ever before, given the issues of global warming and climate change.
Okay. Yeah. Later we shall delve into exactly how we are coping or mitigating the adverse effects of climate change, but allow me dwell on the realities on the ground. 90% of Ugandans rely on firewood and charcoal for energy, especially when it comes to cooking, and there is always a contestation between human activity, especially agriculture, followed by the fact that most of the trees and the forest cover is deforested on account of people taking charcoal. How are we moving along this path, ensuring that livelihoods are maintained, but the forests are not depleted to the extent that they cannot sustain the livelihoods?
Yeah, it's really a path we are taking cautiously, because indeed the population Uganda has is one of its critical assets, if I use that word.
Yeah, very critical indeed.
Very critical assets. And of course, their livelihood is what every institution of government is being concerned with. When it comes to issues of forestry, of course, with the energy needs, the population plays a big part, because they must indeed utilize them. So when you look at the statistics, you know, this country has grown, the population has grown since independence to about 500%. And this, when you look at the, you know, the 90% utilization you talk about, of the 48 million Ugandans, that is a very big percentage that is relying on biomass.
Yeah.
And of course, as a country, we've not built very reliable and accessible alternatives. And for that matter, we still remain focusing on biomass. And the only thing now at the National Forest Authority we do is to keep reminding Ugandans that as long as alternatives are not there, you have nowhere to run to. So please plant these trees and ensure you grow them, because you need firewood, you need charcoal. Right. So the campaign goes on, and of course you see that now alongside that, the country is generally peaceful from all borders, and every household is involved in an economic activity. Areas where we had woodland forests have now been cleared for agriculture, which is positive on the other side, because people are involved. But in terms of sustainable agriculture, we are losing it. So we are now coming with all of those approaches to ensure sustainable agriculture through agroforestry systems.
Okay.
So it's an integration of issues, focusing on both population and agriculture, and juggling around and looking at them as positives and harnessing them.
Okay. Yeah. Indeed, that calls for a lot more tactics and tools in achieving this. Allow me ask a question that, well, may sound very average. If I were to plant trees, there must be some sort of a strategy, not just planting a tree, because if you want to do trees that bring fruit, do you need to plant eucalyptus? Do you need to plant mvule? What is the trajectory like? For example, if you're to plant in a certain area in Uganda, what trees are favored most, or people ought to plant, in order to ensure that within 10 years there is some cover, within 30 there is another, you know? I don't know whether that is well understood.
It's very
I'm
clear.
not into forestry, so I'm struggling to to put it in a good frame.
It's very clear, Chris. You know, the whole point is that if you must go out to plant and grow these trees, you must have an objective.
That is right.
The objective is able to guide and define for you the species you are going to grow. If you are growing trees for food, then you have to have the trees that give you fruits for food.
Yeah.
If you are growing trees for firewood, you will look for the species that are quickly coming to give you firewood. If you are constructing a house and you need, you know, shade and wind breakers, you must. So an objective is very critical, and it helps you in planning where to plant, what to plant, when to plant, and how to plant it. And it is very critical that the country gets to know that there is not a single desired species for government. It is now an objective of an individual, but we have emphasized as government that alongside your objective include indigenous trees.
Indigenous trees, yeah.
That we have seen they can stay longer, but are also medicinal in nature, such that we are able to have household pharmacies. If I use that word.
Wow, household pharmacies. That's interesting. All right. Now, there is also the aspect, I like the integrated approach with which the NFA, of course, working under the aegis of the government, does take this prong, ensuring that forest cover is not depleted. There are the animals that do roam these forests, and many of them do form what I would describe as our national tourism brand. And there has been conflict between these animals and humans, as humans seek to improve their livelihoods, and that has brought into question another aspect of sustainability. How can we ensure that these animals are well intact, their own livelihoods are not interrupted, but also we continue to survive, because at the end of the day, the animals won't if we are not surviving.
Thank you, Chris. Very important question. And as you clearly put it, the animals within the forests are our heritage, and accounting to the foreign exchange we are earning as a country. If you look at the figures again, you'll see that over 60% of the tourists we are getting are nature-based tourists.
Nature-based tourists, yeah.
And without nature, then we lose that, and indeed losing the heritage. So the emerging issues of human-wildlife conflict is indeed a very serious matter, because the humans have, depleted the ecosystem. And because of the desire to access these natural resources, you find human beings getting much closer to the habitats of these animals. Yeah. If you actually walk to the forest reserves where we have all of these animals, or national parks for that matter, you'll see that communities are now living much closer to the boundaries. And what then happens is that there are critical areas we call migratory corridors. These animals are mobile. You cannot tie them in the park or in the forest.
Absolutely.
And they have always known where they have moved to. So from one ecosystem to the other, there are used to be corridors they used to go through.
That is right.
To either go for water, food, or mating. Now, because of the interventions of the population through agriculture, there has been a lot of disruption, and therefore there is frequency in terms of animals interacting with human beings. And once that interaction comes, it's friction, and that is the conflict we are talking about.
That's right.
But we are saying that we can mitigate and reduce this if we took these wild animals as indeed a resource that they are, and ensure that we do not disturb the ecosystems where they are staying in, rather harness it and develop ecotourism packages and activities that would bring people to see the animals and give you money, instead of cutting over the whole area and you go for maize that is not sustainable.
Okay. Yeah. In line with the day's theme, which of course does highlight food security, nutrition and livelihood, where are the national events being held, and what should somebody look out for as the NFA goes about the events, and maybe what particular messages should be echoed right now?
We are lucky that this event follows within what we call the Water and Environment Week. And there are a series of activities going on for the last week, since Monday, when this started. And we are involved with a number of stakeholders. So celebrations began on Monday at the beginning of the week.
The Water and Environment
Water and Environment Week, which is climaxing today. So we climax as a celebration, and we are raising awareness. That's why we are also here. This is part of the celebration. We want to thank NTV for being part of this celebration. So as we move around, of course, we want Ugandans to be much more aware and alerted of the importance of forests in their livelihoods.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stuart Maniraguha, Acting Executive Director at the National Forestry Authority, on emboldening our understanding of why it's important that we do not deplete our forests, but most importantly, ensure that food security, nutrition, as well as our own livelihoods are made better. That will do it for our Tech Note. Do stay with us. Our Kickstarter will be coming up, and we shall be talking about comedy and how it suits the Ugandan audience, in line with the theme for Friday, into the arts, propelling stand-up comedy to greater heights. Maybe I can learn a few things when it comes to comedy, and as you know, many days, or rather these days, you can do some bit of income off the screen as a comedian, but I doubt. I'll be learning. We shall be back.